Afternoon, Steve Georgia here with Allendale's After the Bell commentary for May 9th. We're going to get things started here talking about really why did we bounce today. We had corn, July corn up 15 3/4 cents, December up 9.5. You got beans up 18 for July, up about 3 3/4 for November, and wheat finding a gain of about 17.5 cents. But the biggest reason is the weather, and we're going to break down these maps for us once again. And we've got, this is the 1 to 5 day forecast, and this is the midday models that had come out. Top ends or totals are maybe a little bit lower, but southern Wisconsin a little bit more wet. So the southern Wisconsin area still looking at some good rains over the next 5 days, but a lot of these other areas maybe not as much. Here's the 6 to 10 day. Rains, they pushed it back a little later in the week from the morning models that we had seen, but the northern plains and the northwestern Midwest looks to be a little bit more wet. So that continues on to the 11 to 15 day. Now, as we mentioned yesterday, the longer term, the 2-week forecast was dry. Now we've got a system moving through once again. So much wetter for the plains, western Corn Belt, northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, a little drier, southern Illinois, and then on east. So we'll see what happens. This gave us a little support today. I think as well what we've seen is that we've seen the market sell off over the last few days and some short covering ahead of the report. It was light volume today, and we had seen a stronger move ahead of a potentially negative report. So let's go through that. Here's some of the totals and what we could be expecting for tomorrow. The estimates right now, this is for old crop for corn. They're looking for about 754 million carry out. Last month we were at 757. Minor changes there, small changes in beans as well, and maybe the same here for wheat. But this will be our first look at new crop estimates. Now, back in February when USDA had come out with their baseline projections as well as they had their Outlook conference, they were looking at a 2.2 billion bushel carryout from this new crop. Well, some of the revisions are what we may end up seeing. Like I said, this will be the first time that it gets reported, but still going to be looking at about a 2 billion carryout. So 1.973. That's what the estimates are looking like, and that's what the expectation, I guess, for the trade. As far as beans, coming out at 239. USDA on the February numbers, we're sitting at right about 250. So maybe a little bit of a decline there as well from these February numbers. So these are numbers that we've got to watch pretty close here tomorrow. But the big thing here today is the weather maps. Even though this report is right here ahead of us, we still are going to be watching these maps. We still have a long way to go before the crop gets in the ground yet. If it is dry and guys can get out there and plant, it doesn't take long. But we've got this rain moving through. Most of the midsection here, 75% coverage. That's going to be watched very closely over the next few weeks. So this report isn't going to matter much if we don't see the weather more favorable to get planting accomplished. So here's what happened today. Here's a look at the July corn. A nice recovery, big strong day, as I mentioned, 15 3/4 cents higher today for July. We did just barely edge ourselves into this gap. We'll see what happens on that and how far we could push up. But we still have this gap to come up and fill. On a friendly report here tomorrow, maybe we can go up and get that. But also, we've got this gap just ahead of us as well. That's going to get filled right about 675 as well for July. So there is some room here and some good resistance areas just above us. Now on the downside, 624.5, as we mentioned, there's a gap below us. 624.5 or 624, there's a half-cent gap. 615 and 610. So that's about the range that we're probably going to remain in until we get this crop in the ground and really see how things are progressing. But as far as beans, strong day for beans as well, 18 cents higher for July. We've got some good resistance ahead of us, long-term trend line, and that's going to come in between this 410 to 415 area tomorrow. I'm sorry, 1410 to 1415 But 14.23 3/4, next area of resistance. That's the spike high that we had last time, but we didn't close very well. So watch that. We get back up in that area again. We do have some good resistance up in that 14.20 level, but we'll see what these guys want to do tomorrow as far as this report. So on the downside, 13.65. We've got a big range that we've set up here for beans, but watch the resistance levels right now. If we're not going to get the corn in the ground, a lot of guys considering planting beans. At least that's the perception that we've been hearing anyway. So we'll see what happens. Right now the charts look good. Friendly close for corn and beans. Wheat up 17, but the dollar as well. Dollar up 90 cents right now. So that's due to the yen breaking back. We've got a weaker day for the metals. Gold down 18 bucks right now. Silver down about 25 cents. So after a strong start to the week, giving back most of those gains in the metals, and the stock market only pulling back about 19 cents or 19 points right now. Still remaining strong for the week, and it's keeping that strong uptrend that we've seen. But major things to watch tomorrow. The report is out at 11 o'clock, and but we've got these weather models that we've got to keep an eye on as well. The market has been moving with that, and it's going to continue to do that as well. So give us a call here, 800-262-7538, or check us out on the web at allendale-inc.com. Hope you guys had a great day today.